Hi. Well, you can see that I've changed my clothes since earlier, and I've just come to meet Cara to talk about ServiceNow's involvement with the APEX GBS standards. So Cara, I'd just like to ask you, who you are, what your company does, and what's your place in the GBS ecosystem.
Wonderful. Excited to be in conversation with you, Tim. So ServiceNow is an enterprise software provider, and really our sort of origin is around workflow. So I think akin to a GBS organization that is really trying to move from sort of a functionally aligned way of operating to more of a horizontal way of operating. It's exactly what ServiceNow does. How do you think about workflow and orchestration that sits across an enterprise? How do you think about experience that sits across an enterprise? How do you think about data and analytics and insights that sit across an enterprise? So that's what ServiceNow does. My role at ServiceNow has evolved a bit. I was a customer and a practitioner before, right? So had the experience of leading a transformation using the platform and then really expanding our use of the platform over time. I lead GBS go-to-market globally for ServiceNow. So again, as we think about how do we activate organizations' transformation strategies that may be aligned functionally to start, but over time are really thinking about the ecosystem more broadly.
Yeah. Well, and it's not the first time that I'm using ServiceNow, and it won't be the last in a GBS context. So very good to have you as part of this. So when we've been opening up the APEX GBS standards work to industry partners. What was it that you found attractive about the APEX GBS work?
I think we have a lot of noise in our industry, and we've had a history of, we're complicit, right? Like technology partners coming in, offering sort of big, transformation agendas. I think the reality, though, has been, always will be, the foundation of a GBS is so critical. How do we think about designing process? How do we think about process rigor? How do we think about connectivity and relationship with the function to the extent that we're transitioning work? How do we think about location strategy? Again, technology is an enabler, but the big work of GBS is rethinking the way an organization organizes itself, deploys work, deploys resources against that work. And of course, in the in the era of AI and automation, how do we think about where we strategically deploy technology? So the idea that we're taking a step back and we're helping the industry understand best practices across. I mean, I think one of the beauties of GBS is in some ways it's non-competitive, right? So we all share these challenges. This is such a tightly knit community. I love that there's an industry coalition coming together to say, we can link arms and think about how to elevate this industry more broadly, because we know when GBS sings, an organization is able to sing, right? It's an elevator.
Fantastic. And well, thank you. And in terms of what you're hoping to contribute to APEX GBS, is there anything that excites you about that contribution?
I just think it's going to be a living, breathing conversation. So I think we're on version 2 of the standards. What might it look like over time? The technology landscape is changing so rapidly. Frankly, the provider landscape is changing so rapidly. There were a lot of conversations today about BPO and MSP and consulting partners. I think, again, what does process design look like in the future? So these are all very active conversations. I think, ServiceNow fully acknowledges the work of GBS, as I was alluding to, is as much people, process, change management, governance work as anything. But I think technology plays a really important part. And we're certainly seeing the sort of pace of change, the pace of innovation is sort of breathtaking. And so what that tells me is we need to actually get closer to one another, right? Because we would be so humbled and privileged and are so humbled and privileged to work with, big GBS organizations on their respective journeys.
Well, I can tell you that I was really looking forward to working with you on process topics.
Me too.
Because how you approach what we've been doing for 20 years or more, but now for this new world, is something that really excites me. So I look forward to doing that with you.
Same. It's wonderful.
Good.
Thanks, Tim.